Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very, very warm welcome to the 2009 annual CBI conference. Last year, we were all here right in the middle of the storm, or that's what it felt like. Many of us were concerned with immediate issues. We went on like that for a number of months, it feels. But then, very slowly, heads started to lift a little. And we could see a bit further ahead, but it wasn't quite up to the sunny uplands that we raised our eyes. But we were at least able to look across the landscape and just make out a horizon and start to concentrate on what that might look like. But as we did so, we had a number of very, very big mountains to negotiate. The flow of credit, banks' own situation, how to cut costs but minimize job losses, youth unemployment, understanding the impact of quantitative easing, that new phrase that we came to know, new exchange rates. All these were issues that a whole generation of new managers had to get to grips with, and fast. And it's also been an interesting year at the CBI. There have been major policy recommendations in a number of areas: public service reform, low carbon innovation, energy futures, tax, higher education, and financial services, to name but a few. And we've also found ourselves engaged in debates on governance, reputation, skills, and IP, for example. I think you'll realize that the CBI really does bring together members to make sure that we represent what you think. And we really know how to get that voice across to government and to other relevant parties. Knowing how that process works is important, because it's only when the voice is speaking in the right place that it gets heard, speaking at the right time, and it gets heard. So, today, we're able to spend a little bit more time looking at the future than we did last year. This morning, we launched at the CBI a new report called The Shape of Business, the Next 10 Years. It's not a completely normal piece of CBI work because it isn't a policy paper. There are no recommendations to government, no exhortations. It's there to stimulate debate. It's there to stimulate debate about how business is going to develop over the next 5 to 10 years and the implications that that's going to have for the economy. It was also put together in something of a new way, which may reflect some of the very changes it starts to talk about. It's longer term, it's much more collaborative, and it was put together involving every part of the country. Its main theme is that the new world will be about much less complex financial transactions, much more about collaboration, partnership, and longer-term relationships with a wide group of stakeholders. In the next decade, it's safe to say things aren't going to return to what they were. It's not business as usual. Financial and capital conditions will be very different, and the whole economic backdrop will be much less benign and likely much more volatile. Businesses are going to have to demonstrate their ethical credentials to regain trust, not only amongst the public, but also amongst customers and staff. And the social and demographic changes coming our way are also going to alter how we do things. All of which means that business after the recession is going to be characterized by much more collaboration and much more flexibility. There'll be less debt and more concentration on other sources of capital, while some of the other big areas of change are going to be in the workforce, in governance and in sustainability, and in organization structures towards much more collaborative supply chains and, in the end, much more sustainable growth. This isn't my view. It's the view that I share with the members who've been telling us that it's their view. But what's fascinating, I think, is that it implies such an exciting position for the UK, uniquely positioned with a flexible workforce, where our competitive advantage can really be used to best effect. And that leads me to today, to the conference, where the theme is Routes to Recovery. I'm looking forward to a good debate on paths to the sustainable recovery. And we're going to be hearing from business, from politicians, commentators, regulators, and of course, from you. We're going to start the morning by hearing from Dominique Strauss-Kahn, who's going to talk, of course, about an international economic perspective and the prognosis for 2010. We're then going to be able to ask the leaders of our three main political parties how they plan to restore business and public confidence. And this afternoon, we're going to talk about the shape of things to come and hear from an excellent panel of international business people, including a leader from the US, about all the prospects they see and how they're going to deal with growth as they come out of this recession. And lastly, we'll turn to a question on many businesses' minds: what financial regulation is going to look like, and what it's going to look like in the future, and how we make sure it doesn't stifle innovation. I'm delighted we're going to be joined by Lord Turner, Chairman of the Financial Services Authority, who's going to debate that topic with Richard Lambert. Now, this conference is designed to be interactive, and all our speakers have agreed to take questions. So that means you have to think a little about what you'd like to ask, and then do so. If you have a question, I can bet you that there'll be other people in the room who want to know the answer to that question. So please do put up your hand, even if they haven't put up theirs, and take the opportunity to put your question to the excellent lineup of speakers we had today. Let me add, of course, that this event, or any event like this, wouldn't be possible without valued and continued support from our sponsors. Our headline sponsors today, Deloitte and Harvey Nash. Thank you very much indeed to both of them. And I'd also like to thank the supporting sponsors, EDF Energy, Verizon, the Quality and Curriculum Development Agency, and Knowledge Transfer Partnerships. But before we get underway, one piece of housekeeping. I went to a meeting recently where the speaker said, "Please keep your telephones on." He then told us that he was a telecoms billionaire, and every time somebody took a phone call, he made some money. I am not a telecoms billionaire, so please would you turn your telephones off or switch them to silent. Now, I'm delighted to welcome our first speaker this morning. This is Dominique Strauss-Kahn, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund. The IMF has been at the cutting edge of all the global discussions on restoring financial stability, and I'm sure that Dominique will offer us incisive commentary on that organization's assessment of current economic conditions and his prognosis for the coming year.